I want to start on the line of scrimmage. We've talked so much about the Stephon Gilmore situation. We are going to touch on that when we get to the cornerbacks, but I want to start on the line of scrimmage and then work our way backwards into the secondary. So let's start with the defensive lineman and the interior of the defensive lineman in particular. What about Christian Barmore's role? Because this is, I think, going to be an interesting thing to monitor in training camp, is how quickly Christian Barmore is grasping things and how much of a role he's going to have this season as a rookie. Is he only going to be a situational player? We've talked so much about him sort of being in that Adam Butler, early career Adam Butler role, where he's kind of coming in on third down, second and longs, pass rush situations, and rushing the passer. But are we going to see Barmore, even in year one, expanded into even more? Because right away, he's going to be one of the most athletic and one of the most physically talented D linemen that they have.
Yeah, and it's nice because they have a role to slide him into right away without overworking him. And right, and that's Adam Butler's old role as the interior pass rush specialist. And I don't think that will be his whole role his entire tenure in New England. It shouldn't be, but that's where he's going to be to start. And then he can grow from there. And if he succeeds in that role, maybe you start seeing him on early downs once we get into late October, early November, things like that. But initially, I think his role is going to be as a pass rusher. They're going to need him, because I don't know, who's the second interior pass rusher on this team. And I know that that's a niche role, but Bill Belichick talks about having depth at every spot. Who's the second interior pass rusher? Is it Byron Cowart? He's not necessarily a roster lock.
Right.
Are you moving Lawrence Guy inside on those situations? You could, but that's probably not the best use for him. So, is it Chase Winovich? Some people have floated that he could potentially fill that role. He's going to be able to play multiple positions. But right now, I think that's Christian Barmore's spot, and I think it's a spot where he can succeed.
Right, so you have him on the inside, maybe over the nose tackle or shaded into the A gap. And you also don't forget about Dietrich Wise, right? I think that those two guys are going to play a lot in pass rush situations. What I'm really interested to see, and I've kind of been saying this since they drafted him, is can Barmore become that 3-4 defensive end, right? Can he be a Richard Seymour type? And I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Seymour, but can he play 3-4 end in base defense on first and second down and then kick inside to nose tackle or pass rushing DT as a penetrator on third downs? That's how you become a 3-down player and the type of skill set that Christian Barmore has. I don't know, like you said, from a mental standpoint, even from a physical or technique standpoint, is he going to be ready to do that right away? Probably not, but that I think is the goal. Is down the line, he can be that 3-4 end on first down. Then when you get into second and long, third down pass rush situations, that's when he kicks more inside and rushes over the center or rushes shaded in the A gap like Adam Butler did for all of those years. But they tried to get Adam Butler, especially last year when they were thin on the D line, they tried to develop him into a 3-4 end, right? Especially on the weak side of the formation opposite of Lawrence Guy, because they really needed to fill that spot. And it was hit or miss. Some games he had that big game against Arizona where he played really well in that role. But in a lot of those games, he also got pushed around a little bit. So Barmore has that ability, and I think that's the next step for him in his maturation as a player in general, just watching his tape at Bama, is you see streaks of really good run defense, whether it's penetrating the line of scrimmage or two-gapping. And you see those in spurts. You see the upper body power to be an effective two-gapper, but he's got to play with better feet and he's got to play with better discipline and then, kind of develop that technique as a two-gapper to be able to be a base 3-4 end for the Patriots like they're going to want to use him long-term. But I'm really excited to see what he brings to the table because in minicamp, he was already getting after the quarterbacks as a pass rusher in 11-on-11s, excuse me. So you could already see the pass rushing stuff coming together for him early on in June. So I think he's really going to excel, especially in some of these joint practices that the Patriots are going to have announcing today with the Eagles. They're supposed to have one, I think, with the Giants too, maybe later on in training camp. So it's going to be really fun to see Barmore go up against some of those other opponents where he's really going to kind of pin the ears back and get after the QB a little bit.
Yeah, he's going to be, and we've talked about this where, depending on what happens with Mac Jones and whether or not we'll see him week one and how early we'll see him, I think Barmore is the guy we'll see right away. And he may end up, if they end up waiting on Jones, Barmore has probably the best chance to be the face of this rookie class in the 2021 season. It's going to be Jones eventually. But again, if he doesn't play right away, I think we've talked about this. Perkins is probably more of a developmental player, Ronnie Perkins. Ramondre Stevenson, we know about their history with running backs. So if there's going to be a rookie right out of the gate, I think who makes an impact, it's Christian Barmore.